Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today I'd like to talk about Xbox, specifically the Xbox 360 and my own personal experience with it. Currently, Xbox seems to be a struggling brand, which, in my opinion, is suffering from a bit of an identity crisis. It seems the predominant discourse about Xbox at the moment is one of negativity, doom and gloom, it's going to fail, give up, and so on. Hating on Xbox appears to be the trendy thing to do, and I'm honestly a bit fed up of hearing it. Of course, mistakes have been made. These can be traced back to the disastrous Xbox One launch up until the recent studio closures and layoffs, and I am in no way excusing any of that. There are plenty of videos out there going into depth on this topic, so I wanted to do something different and talk about some things Xbox has done right, at least for me, and try and bring back some positivity to the conversation. When I think of Xbox, I think of the Xbox 360. I can confidently say that this is my favourite console. It's the console I've definitely spent the most time playing, and it's provided the most fun I've had out of a system. It's the console that well and truly entrenched gaming into my personality, and with it being out during my formative years, it played a huge role in moulding who I am and what I play today. So in this video, I want to try and move the conversation to one of positivity and hope, and serve as a reminder of Xbox's successes and what I think it's done right for the industry. What you're about to see is a selection of standout moments from my experience with the console, which I'm sure a lot of you will relate to. So let's eat a bunch of member berries and cast our minds back to the Xbox 360. It's true that I wasn't an Xbox fan before I picked up a 360. I definitely favoured Sony and Nintendo at that point, and we never had an original Xbox in the house. That didn't stop me from playing one though. Fortunately, my friend had one who only lived a short walk away, so I was able to enjoy the delights of Halo 1 and 2 split-screen co-op using a controller bigger than my head, without having to save up my pocket money for months or years to buy one. But when the Xbox 360 came out, I decided I couldn't wait another year for the PlayStation 3, so at the beginning of 2006, I took the plunge into the world of Xbox and bought myself a 360, which came bundled with a copy of The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. It's at that point that my fate was sealed. Much to the dismay of my parents, I would never leave my bedroom again, and I was well and truly lost to the world of gaming, but I have absolutely no regrets. Speaking of Oblivion, this leads me nicely onto my first favourite moment of my time with the console, and I know for a fact I'm not alone with this. At this point, I had never played an Elder Scrolls game. In fact, I'd never heard of the series, so I had no idea what was in store for me when I put the disc in and booted up the game for the first time. So let's relive it again, shall we? Everyone remembers their first time leaving the sewers in The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. This is a moment that will stick with me forever. I can still vividly remember it and how much it blew me away purely on the basis of how beautiful the world looked and the graphical fidelity the 360 could muster. The leap between the previous console generation to the 360 generation is, in my opinion, by far the most impressive leaps between generations I've seen. Not only did this moment make me incredibly excited to embark on the many epic quests Oblivion offers, but it opened my eyes to what's possible on this machine. It justified my purchase instantly. I just couldn't believe how good it looked. The world of Cyrodiil looked so majestic and inviting the moment you set foot outside, and I didn't put this game down until I explored every nook and cranny. It's the first game I got all the achievements for, which started a bit of an unhealthy habit, and I must have poured hundreds of hours into it. On the topic of achievements, I was amazed to see the dates I unlocked them are still visible. Sadly, not every date was available, but the earliest one I found was the 12th of April 2006. That's 18 years ago. I was 13 years old. That's the year My Chemical Romance released a Black Parade and started an emo phase I haven't even grown out of, and I don't think I ever will. That's insane to see, and it makes me feel very old, but it has also shown me that this gaming journey I've been on since childhood has filled me with moments I'll never forget, and for that I have the Xbox 360 to thank. Now, I put way too many hours into this next game than I'd like to admit. Who else absolutely adored Far Cry Instinct's Predator? The Far Cry series today looks nothing like its origins, and I haven't played any in the series since Far Cry 3, I think. But Far Cry Instinct's Predator is a game that took me by surprise. I originally came for its campaign and the beautiful visuals its tropical setting provided, but I ended up staying for the incredible multiplayer it offered. But it wasn't your usual team deathmatches or capture the flag modes that hooked me. It was the amazing custom maps players from across the world could create and upload for everyone to enjoy. The map editor on this game was something else entirely. You could go into a surprising amount of detail, and people were making all sorts of maps, from airports to even Helm's Deep replicas. But my favourite type of map I'd always be playing were the maze maps or obstacle courses, which were really popular at the time, so I was really excited to get stuck into them all over again. But when I booted up the game to relive those glorious childhood memories, I was surprised to find the servers were actually still up and running, but sadly no one was there to play with me. And this also meant there weren't any custom maps to download, so I'd boot up a pre-installed map and it would just be a complete ghost town, as expected. I'd throw rocks at a wall, wishing I had a friend, or at least something to do, but then I found some beautiful human had archived hundreds of the custom maps online for everyone to download. All I had to do was download them, whack them on a USB stick, plug it into my Xbox 360, transfer them over, and I was suddenly 14 years old again playing through my favourite maze maps and obstacle courses. I'll put a link in the description for the maps in case you're interested. All you have to do in these maps is get from point A to B, but along the way, you'll be carefully balancing on fences, throwing grenades to propel you across large gaps, making dangerous jumps on vehicles, and carefully jumping from platform to platform. These maps pretty much changed the genre of the game from a shooter to a platformer, and I was truly addicted. One creator in particular was Foven, who created some really impressive maps. His 40 Trials is one map I spent a lot of time playing, and he even made a few maps based on the Saw franchise that was pretty amazing to experience again. Back in the day, when these were so popular, so many people would be in the game with me trying to complete the courses, but there was always one guy who'd ruin it for everyone and would try and slaughter all the other players. And the heartbreaking thing is, when you die, you spawn right back at the beginning, so you have to do everything all over again. But I do have a nice story that came out of playing this. I met another player and we started talking using voice chat, so much so that we became really good friends and we'd always be playing online together. It was one of those friendships where as soon as I saw him come online, I'd send an Xbox party invite and we'd spend the next few hours talking and playing. And the amazing thing is, after 17 years, we're still friends now and talk frequently, despite never actually meeting each other in person. It's just one of those special friendships that only gaming can create. And I have Far Cry Instinct's Predator to thank for that. Anyway, that's enough talking about this game. Let me know if you are one of the custom map addicts like me, and tell me about your favourite maps. I'd love to know. One game that is synonymous with the Xbox 360 is Gears of War. This game came out in November 2006 and was rated 18. As I've already mentioned, I definitely wasn't 18, and I really shouldn't have been allowed to play this, but I did anyway. It's actually quite a funny story how I got my hands on this game. I was in Toys R Us with my granddad, who's really into World War II era fighter planes, and saw Blazing Angels on the shelf. He said he'd buy this game for my Xbox if he could play it, which I of course was fine with, but I also asked if he'd buy this other totally innocent child-friendly game that definitely doesn't have any chainsaws attached to machine guns or shotguns you could blow people's head off with. Fortunately, he said yes, so I went home, booted it up, and he never got a chance to play Blazing Angels. And if you're thinking I was a little shit, then you'd be absolutely correct. Gears of War is one of those games that will never grow old. It still holds up today and is one of my favourite third-person shooters. For a game with such a huge emphasis on gore, guns, and death, it surprised me with how good its story and character development was, and I must have completed the campaign an unhealthy amount of times. What I love about this generation is how most campaigns offered a co-op mode, and Gears of War was no exception. Playing through the campaign with my friend is one of those experiences I'll never forget. It was just so much fun and provided endless amounts of entertainment, especially trying to get through it on insane difficulty. But it's not the campaign that sticks out for me. Similar to Far Cry, it's actually the online multiplayer. Currently, I am by no means into competitive multiplayer games. I much prefer a nice story I can relax with in my own time, and I usually find online multiplayer quite repetitive. But back then, I must have been a different person because it's pretty much all I used to play. That's if my internet was up to the task. I don't think kids these days understand the struggle of early 2000s internet speeds. I think my download speed used to hover around 1 megabyte per second, and it was always a gamble whether the game would have lag or not. I remember at the start of each game I used to shoot the wall to judge for lag. If the bullets appeared on the wall a good few seconds after pulling the trigger, then you know you're gonna have a bad time. But when it worked, it was magical. Running for the boom shot in Gridlock, having sniper matches from the bridges and canals, and hearing that satisfying pop whenever you got a headshot, there's nothing else quite like it. There's something about Team Deathmatch in Gears of War that I found terribly addictive, and I couldn't stop playing it. I can remember the stress of being the last person alive on my team, knowing that everyone else was spectating and watching my every move. In that moment, I was in the zone. I had to prove to everyone that I was capable of getting the final kill and winning it for everyone. In many cases, that definitely did not happen, but when it did, I was met with cheering and everyone congratulating me back in the lobby. It's a feeling that I'd chase and I would play matches very late into the night, even on a school night. It's a feeling that I don't think I'll ever experience again, but that's okay. My gaming tastes have changed and I like it being left with the console I experienced it on so I can look back in fondness. I feel like I could talk about this for ages, but I'll wrap up this section now. Gears of War, thanks for the memories and thank you Xbox for allowing me to connect with people and make new friends in a whole new way. So I'd say I've covered the games that really stick out in my memory when I cast my mind back to the 360. I was going to talk about Halo 3, but I don't want this to be a really long video, so perhaps I'll save that for another time. But there's a few honourable mentions I'd like to make. These aren't exactly what makes the Xbox 360 so great, but they're more special or dumb moments that come to mind. So let me reel these off quickly. The first one isn't actually a game, but a dumb thing I did when I bought the console. At the beginning, you didn't use real currency to make online purchases, you used Microsoft points. When I decided to check out the store, I thought, oh great, I've got plenty of points from all the achievements I've been unlocking. There's so many things I can buy. You can imagine my disappointment when it didn't work. Digital purchases in my teens were such an effort for me because I didn't have a bank card, so if I wanted to buy some Microsoft points, I'd have to go out, get the bus to the nearest town, purchase a load of points in cash, bring them home and redeem them all. The struggles us gamers used to face. Speaking of gamerscore, did anyone else go insane if you unlocked an achievement that didn't end in either 0 or a 5? I can remember it now, clear as day. It was Forza Motorsport 2. I unlocked an achievement worth 1G. In my panic, I tried to progress further and hope I'd gain more achievements that would correct my score, but then I got another achievement worth 1G. I was sweating. I was not okay. In a panic, I'd look up other games that would fix my score, and I ended up playing Crash of the Titans that had an achievement worth 13G. From that moment, I swear I'd never play a game that would ruin my gamer score again. Fallout 3. I could talk about this game a lot. It's definitely my favourite Fallout game and I sunk way too many hours into it. But one of my favourite memories with this game is actually to do with its soundtrack. So my music taste in my teens wasn't exactly easy on the ears. I was very much a scene emo kid thing. Well, actually I still am, and I'd blast the likes of Asking Alexandria, Attack Attack, and Bring Me the Horizon from my speakers. My mum would absolutely hate it, but she used to love it when I'd play Fallout 3 and turn the radio on. I'll always remember exploring the wasteland with my mum singing along in the background. It's just one of those cozy memories. Okay, quick fire round. Call of Duty 2, hands down the best Call of Duty game, both for single player and multiplayer. Anyone who disagrees is wrong. Splinter Cell Double Agent online multiplayer playing as the spy. Absolutely terrifying hiding in the vents from the soldiers. Rock Band and Guitar Hero. I was obsessed, and I was also pretty damn good. So good that I unlocked the Endless Setlist achievement on Rock Band 1. That's playing every single song on Expert without a break on guitar. My fingers were on fire. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Yes, it isn't the sequel everyone wanted, but me and my friends had a blast. We'd make our vehicles into questionable shapes and have endless fun doing so. Okay, I think that'll do. I suppose it's time I wrap this video up. As I said at the beginning of this video, I want this video to be one of positivity, to talk about my favourite memories of the console and how much it's influenced my life, in a good way of course. I want it to serve as a reminder of the good things Xbox has been able to provide and why they should be taken seriously today. I would be very sad to see a world without Xbox. Sony needs competition and I don't want the console industry to be dominated by one company. I hope I've been able to get this message across, and I hope you've been able to relive some gaming memories with me. The Xbox 360 is a very special console. It's the console I think of first whenever I cast my mind back to older games. Through its many games and the services it offered, it provided me with countless hours of fun and has even created some important friendships. It gave me an escape from many hardships I faced in my teens, and most importantly, it showed me that gaming is my biggest passion. So that's about everything. I really hope you enjoyed this trip back in time. It was a pleasure playing these old games again and creating this video. It gave me that nice cozy feeling that's hard to describe. If you share any similar memories of the console or would like to talk about your own, then please do leave a comment because I'd love to discuss it with you. Please also hit the like button and consider subscribing if you want to. Cheers everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.